welcome back to my photography channel. It's the old teacher, as some of you might know me. But today, I thought I'd talk about something, a lot of us, with our photography gear, we got to do the best we can with what we have. Photography stuff is very, very expensive. Cameras and lenses, obviously, are really, really expensive, and depending on your budget, you just can't go out and get some of the stuff you see on YouTube all the time. There's a lot of videos out there, and I have some of the people ask me about portraiture and taking photos, and got to set my mood music a little bit. But I say, they say, well, I got this camera, I got a Nikon, D5500 or D5600, crop sensor camera. I got my kit lens, and they want to know, how do I take those kind of pictures, that they see, maybe in my portfolio, or they see on the YouTube videos. And a lot of Nikon's cameras now, I know the D3000 series, and I think the 5600 may offer it also in one of their kit forms, but they ask about their zoom lenses. What can they do with a zoom lens, and I know let me see here, can you see this? I know the D3500 especially comes with a 18 to 55 and a 70 to 300 lens, and they want to take as professional photos as they can. Of course, the first thing I always tell them, I say, you need to really dig your hands in and dig in and get enough money to get like a 50 millimeter lens. I said that will be a great start to portraiture. Then they asked me about, well, what's the difference between a 70 to 200 and a 70 to 300, and can they take portraits with a 70 to 300? And I said, sure, yes, you can. I said, you're limited mainly by light. And there's some things you need to do. You can invest in some other stuff and still use your 70 to 300, and you can do really good portraits with a 70 to 300, but you're understanding that the $1,300 Sigma or Tamron 70 to 200 is a f2.8 lens. It lets in lots and lots of light compared to your 70 to 300 zoom lens, like this one here. And this is a $500 full frame Nikon lens, and it is a 4.5 to 5.6 lens. And of course, I shoot lots of portraits at f4. With the 70 to 200, I shoot f5.6 sometimes, especially if I got more than one person, and all, there's lots of factors. But I say, yeah, you can do it, but here's what you need to do. When you shoot with that 70 to 300 lens, aperture is a big deal. We got if you're going to take portraits of some girl or boy, you need to shoot that biggest aperture. So if you're shooting at 200 millimeter focal or whatnot, you're going to be shooting f5, f5.6, depending on the variable aperture range of your lens. So that's all you can get. So depending on your lighting, the photos may be too dark. All right. So what do we do? If the photos are too dark and you're shooting as wide as you can already, and you're shooting the longer focal length because you're trying to get some bokeh, and you can get a lot of bokeh with a 70 to 300 lens, believe me. When you shoot at the long end, those lenses, you can blur out the background, but it may be too dark. So there's things you got to do. If you're shooting in ambient light, obviously the first thing you got to do is do what you can with your shutter. If you're shooting a model, you can tell them move really slow, You know, don't be doing a lot of action stuff. You know, and you can start shooting at 1/80th, 1/100th, 1/125th of a second instead of shooting 1/250, 1/200. You know, you can, as you slow that shutter speed down, obviously we can get more light that way. So, you know, that's our first adjustment. Wow, shoot it, see what it looks like. You know, look at your histogram. Histogram is really important when it comes to this. Are the photos still look too dark? If so, our next choice is just ISO. And this is something you're going to have to live with when you shoot lenses like this, is that you may have to raise your ISO to, depending on the lighting outside, to f400, f800, f1500, or not F, but you know, you set your ISO, you know, from 100 go to 400, 800, whatever, until you get the light source you need. But be careful with that, because you know you may be limited with your cropping. Because when you start cropping, and especially if that background's dark, you're going to start to see that noise, and there's nothing really you can do about it with it. There's software that helps eliminate noise, but it also changes your picture a little bit too. My best thing that I can tell you to do, if you have a 70 to 300 lens and you want to use it instead of paying extravagant money for a 70 to 200, for example, get yourself situated so you can shoot off-camera flash. On camera, you're going to be limited because at the longer focal lengths, where you're getting some of that good bokeh, you may be really far from your subject, or further away than normal from your subject, and your flash, on-camera flash, just won't work unless you are really shooting something like a magnetic grid, which really narrows the beam. And I've done lots of full body shots using a magnetic grid, and I can get the light to them. It's not easy. So what I'm saying is, invest where you shoot off-camera flash. If you want to get the most you can out of that lens, the off-camera flash, get you the trigger, get you a flash and a diffuser and a little cheap stand. It doesn't have to be much, because but you need to get where you can shoot that off-camera flash. That way the subject will get that light that they need. Your lens will work just fine then, because those lenses are sharp. You know, if you get good glass, good 70 to 300 glass, they can make the shot just fine. I mean, I'm talking about good stuff. Because at f5.6 or whatnot, they're already sharp. You know, when you get into that aperture, your lens, it's already going to be a sharp picture. And the off-camera flash that you can get nestled in closer to your subject provides the light that you need. And since your ambient light maybe have a little bit darker background, some of your photos can look very dramatic on a location shoot. So don't be afraid to do that. You can get a manual flash and a stand and a diffuser pretty cheap. Okay. And that might be the way you want to go for a little while until you can save up for the more expensive lenses. They'll make the shot, but you just got to know your limitations. And your lens is limited because of the light, but you can overcome that with flash. So don't be afraid to do it. That's just a little bit about using these kind of lenses. They'll do the job, but sometimes they need a little help. Okay? So, yeah, you have a great day, and go out and try that. Okay? If you got a D3500 or a D5600, if you got an APS-C camera, it's a budget camera, whatever, you still, a good lens, you know, a good, like a 70 to 300, it'll make it. So, yeah, take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.